Hello guys, welcome to Core Academy. Guys, in this video we'll be talking about two very important perspectives in sociology, and these are positivism and interpretivism. Remember that before you start studying sociology, you have to keep these two concepts in mind, because these concepts and orientations guide how would you how would you perceive any social phenomena. Okay, if you're a positivist, you study any social phenomena, you will see that okay, this can be verified through empirical evidence by collecting data. Whereas if you are an interpretivist, okay, you would say that okay, this action is done in this particular way, because that's how people interact and they create reality. Taking the example of let's suppose divorce. Now, a positivist would before making any comment as to why divorce rates increase in society, they would say that okay, first they will collect the data, they will collect historical data across different societies within society, and then they will correlate these different factors and find causal factors. That is, they will find some independent variables which define the increasing or decreasing rate in divorce. Okay, so they will use data in black and white form. Whereas as an interpretivist, and okay, if you are taking sociology through an interpretivist lens, then you will see that okay, the divorce rates have increased because there is people have started accepting divorce. Okay, they have started accepting divorce as a norm in the society. So see, interpretivists are looking at the individual level, micro level actions of the society. They say that it does not matter that, like, divorce rates have increased because economy of the country is suffering and people are finding it hard to meet their ends meet. They will say that okay, the divorce rate have increased because the values of the society have changed over the years, and now people are more receptive to the idea of divorce. So let's start off. Sociologists' choice of method is influenced by their sociological perspective. In other words, their view of what the society is like and how we should study it. So as we just discussed, if somebody considers that for every social phenomena there is a macro level explanation, then you are actually a positivist. Okay, because you believe that there is pattern to everything, and if you believe that there's no pattern to it, in fact it is the individual reactions to different phenomena that define sociology. So then you are an interpretivist. Okay, so there are two contrasting perspectives when it comes to choosing methodology. One is positivism. Remember, it's a structural approach, that is macro level approach. In this approach, you basically collect data across different societies or within different societies over the period of time, and then you basically develop relationships of independent and dependent variable, and you analyze different perspectives at a societal level. Okay, so it's structural approach. Whereas interpretivism is a micro level phenomena. You basically interpret different social actions in a society. For example, divorce is a social action. Similarly, shaking hands, if you shake somebody's hand, that is a social action. It's an action, of course, you perform something, and it is social, because it's not like you're shaking your hand, you're shaking hand with somebody, so that somebody is part of the society, hence the word social. It is crucial that you understand these different perspectives and how they affect a researcher's choice of methodology. Read around this topic and keep your notes organized. This is very important. Okay, this is not an easy topic, of course. You might find it difficult to grasp it. So if you take notes, it will become easier, because once if you do not understand these two perspectives, that is interpretivism and positivism, you might not be able to understand whole sociology course. You will basically cram the things, but you will not understand. For example, in the later in the lectures, you will see you will study a sociologist named Durkheim or Auguste Comte, and you will often hear the words that Durkheim and Auguste Comte were positivists. Now you have to understand positivism before you study them. Similarly, if you hear about Max Weber, he is an interpretivist. Okay, but before you understand his theories, you have to be very clear as to what interpretivism exactly means. So as we just discussed, this is an positivism is a structural theory. Okay, positivists concern themselves with the macro. Okay, they study societal actions at the macro level. They assume, that is, positivists assume that society exists independently of individuals and has an objective, factual and actual reality, just like the physical natural world. it is out there. Like if there is a river out there, then it exists. Okay, it's an objective and factual and an actual reality. It exists, you can see it. Okay, similarly the positivists believe that society is just like a river or a mountain. It exists out there and you can study it independently of the individuals. Okay, whereas interpretivists believe that since society is composed of individual, you cannot study society without studying the individuals, whereas positivists say that you can study society just like any natural object. So just like the natural world, it can be investigated scientifically. Okay, it can be investigated scientifically using the methods of the natural sciences. So society exists independently to individuals. It's a reality of its own. Okay, it is external force. It is an external force that is observable. Remember, these words are very important. You have to remember these. So they say that society is an external force that is observable. So you can see it, you can measure it, and you can predict it. For example, talking about suicide, then you can observe the suicide, people committing suicide, and you can measure the suicide in terms of suicide rates, and you can predict it. For example, in the back in 1800s, if or in 1920s, when there was economic crunch, people committed more suicides. So you will be able to predict that once again there is an economic recession, there is a possibility that people will commit more suicide. So yes, you can predict it. Society shapes and controls individuals. So society is a fact of itself and it controls the individuals, and individuals are passive. This is what positivists maintain, whereas interpretivists maintain that individuals are active and they are constantly shaping the society, whereas positivists believe that society shapes and controls the individuals. So positivists prefer structured quantitative methodology. That is, if positivist is collecting a data, they will probably distribute structured questionnaires. Like they will not be interested in open-ended or interview questions. Okay, they will be closed-ended questions like, do you believe like that suicide is a good thing? Okay, or do you think that society increased over time? Now, these are structured, open-ended. They will not ask somebody open-ended question like, what's your analysis on suicide, is it a good thing or bad thing? No, they will ask structured and quantitative questions, because positivists are all about scientific methodology and numbers, and aim to look for predictable and formulaic patterns of behavior. So they want to establish some relationships through which they can predict the behavior. Okay, as I just discussed, that if they want to study divorce rates, they can they can talk about it in terms of numbers. So positivists look for causal relationship, that is independent and dependent variable. Some independent variable, let's suppose economic distress is causing divorce rates or suicide rates. That is a causal relationship. One thing is causing another, and prefer value free. So they say that the intentions of the human beings do not matter as far as studying the society is concerned. We should be value free. We should talk in terms of data, facts, and figures. Reliable, so they look for causal relationships and prefer value free, reliable, representative, large scale quantitative methodology. Since we just discussed that positivists are basically structural functionalists. Okay, so they are interested in large scale quantifiable phenomena. Durkheim, let's suppose, he was interested in suicide rates. Okay, he was not interested as to why a single individual committed suicide, what were his motivations. No, he is interested as to what were the what were the societal forces which compelled him to commit suicide. Okay, so positivism is a macro level society, and they believe that out of the macro level factors, we those macro level factors influence the micro level factors. That is, societal forces influence individuals. So excuse me, their approach is called deductive logic. These zero you can see, they are societal forces. So with the help of societal forces, we deduce the logic, how will individuals react. Okay, so their approach is like uh, excuse me, bottom up. Okay, they first discuss the base, that is what are the reasons, and then they come up with explaining the individual behavior. So So yes, now coming to interpretivism. Okay, so their explanation of society is called social action theory. And what is this? What is interpretive research methodology? Well, it is positivists concern themselves with micro. No, sorry, it's not positivist. It's interpretivist. Okay, it's a typo. Interpretivists concern themselves with the micro. Why an individual is acting in a certain way. They assume that society cannot exist without individuals. Society is dependent on individuals. It is subjective reality that is created by individual interactions and the meanings that individuals give to interactions and behavior. Society is a social construction. So they believe that society is a subjective thing because individuals are subjective and society is all but a combination of individuals. It's not anything like external. So therefore society is also subjective. It's a subjective reality and we should try to study it like this. Okay, the social world is shaped by, interpretivists maintain that social world is shaped by internal forces and that is predictable, often random and ever changing, therefore cannot be objectively measured and studied. Individuals shape its society and individuals are active. Remember, positivists assume that individuals are passive, whereas interpretivists assume that society is active. Society is active. Why? Because individuals are active and individuals actually, they are internal forces which influence the society. So society is basically a social construct and it's always changing because individuals are changing. So we cannot measure society objectively. Interpretivists prefer unstructured and qualitative methods and aim to uncover inherent meanings behind behavior and interactions. Okay, so if a society is accepting, its divorce rate are increasing in society, then interpretivists would interview individuals. They would believe in qualitative structure. They will interview the subjects who have committed suicide, and they will ask them, why did you commit suicide? And they will say that, okay, because, and they, after the interview, they will come to realize that because individuals are committing divorce, suicide, or they are more into divorce because society is more acceptable to divorce. So they have this logic. So interpretivists look for meanings and valid small scale in-depth methodology. So once again, they are micro in nature. So they believe that micro explains the macro. Individuals explain the nature. This is individual and they are explaining the society. So their logic is inductive logic, that is inducing. What individual is doing basically explains what society is doing. So, talking about choice of method, which method do interpretivists and which method do positivists and interpretivists choose? For primary data collection, positivists would engage in artificial experiments, comparative methods, large-scale surveys, questionnaires. Remember, close-ended questionnaires, not open-ended, because open-ended questionnaires basically they include the values of an individual, what an individual believes. So, positivists try to avoid it, and non-participant observations. So interpretivists, they are interested in natural and field experiments, small scale surveys, case studies, questionnaires, open-ended questionnaires, which basically help them to uncover the the beliefs of an individual. They are more interested in interviews and participant observations. Secondary data collection, of course, positivists use statistics, whereas interpretivists, since they are more into values of why values of society and why individual individual involve themselves in certain social action. They read the diaries of the individuals. For example, a suicide victim, they read newspaper articles, autobiographies, life histories of a suicide victim, or documentaries, because all of these provide them with a perspective, provide them with the values, what caused individual to commit suicide. Similarly, like suicide, they study other phenomena through a social action theory approach, through intentions, through understanding the intentions. I hope this video clarified your concept about the differences between positivism and interpretivism. For more videos, do subscribe. Thanks for watching.